We spent some time talking about Adrian Peterson, and it felt like the Vikings wanted Adrian back, and now we're getting the feeling that maybe Adrian and his agent don't want to go back. Jason Canfora of CBS Sports did a great job with this story, advancing it, and he joins us now. Jay, where are we on this?
Well, I think we're headed towards a future for Adrian Peterson that's outside of Minnesota. I really do. And if you parse out what the Vikings have said publicly, and they've had a united front in terms of this, we welcome him back. But, we spent some time with Rick Spielman on the set we had at the Combine. I'm sure other people, I'm guessing, asked these same questions. But when I hit him with the elephant in the room, which is, yeah, it's great to welcome him back. Do you welcome him back at $48 million over the next 3 years and $13 million for next year? A complete outlier of a contract, even if you had no off-field issues? And that's when you start to get the we don't talk about individual contracts, and, all we'll say is he's a special player. Like, if you don't have a problem with the contract, how easy is it to come out and say, hey, that's what we gave him and that's what he's worth, right? But they haven't come anywhere close to that. And I'm told unequivocally he's not taking a pay cut to stay there, and I don't think he ends up staying there. This situation has been so angst-filled and tension-filled, and you got Radisson pulling out. I mean, we don't have to. Everyone knows what that period of time was like for them. And I don't know that this is one you can just put, a bow on and it's going to be neat and quick and easy. I don't see that happening. And I know from his side of things, there's a lot of trust issues and faith issues and who really was with me in that organization and who wasn't. It's a lot to overcome. And then you put this sort of anomaly of a contract into the stew as well. And the fact that other teams will be interested in him, I don't see him back there.
He's Rick Spielman, by the way, the GM of the Vikings, talking to Jason Canfora of CBS. And I'm wondering if you go back in time with the Vikings, it felt like they were reading everybody else to see how they were going to react. And if I'm Adrian Peterson and his agent, I'm probably thinking back to all those things that they did or didn't say, and they almost waited for the commissioner to do their dirty work there. And I'm sure that this is at the crux of it, too, that, you know what, you didn't have my back, and now that I'm able to go back to you, now you're going to welcome me back when the coast is clear. So I understand the acrimony on Adrian Peterson's part, but does Adrian Peterson feel like he didn't do anything wrong in this situation? Or
I mean, when I talk to people sort of close to him who have, regular contact with him and the issue of this comes up, there does still seem to be a disconnect between what the league feels like the ramifications of his actions should be and what he feels like it should be.
Okay. And,
you come down to the idea of parenting as a personal thing, and, there's cultural differences based on geography in this country and yada, yada, yada. I know that he feels like this was unfair, that he has already been punished too much, and he wants to get his career back. But, Dan, if you read the statement the league put out when they said he's done till April 15th, they specifically said he hasn't shown enough remorse, and he needs to show more remorse. So that's the other component about this that no one's talking about. Is he following all the behavioral science stuff they wanted, right? They wanted him to meet with a particular counselor for a minimum number of times. And at the same time, he's in a Minnesota courtroom fighting this thing. So do we know that on April 15th he's going to come down and sit with Goodell and ask to come back, and they're going to, it's going to be kumbaya for an hour, and then he gets the rubber stamp and he's back in the league? I don't know if it's as simple as that. And I do expect there to be supplementary discipline to this as well, because the league stance has been that those 15 weeks or whatever when we paid you to stay away, that's not the same as being suspended without pay. So there's still that issue to resolve. And is it a 4-game suspension? And is it a 6-game suspension? And, again, all that just continues to point to me, along with these other issues, to a divorce coming here sometime in the next couple months.
All right, let's I guess keep an eye on the Cowboys situation. And with Jerry Jones says he wants DeMarco Murray as a Cowboy for life. But you know how Jerry loves nice, shiny toys, and the opportunity to maybe get Adrian Peterson and not keep DeMarco Murray. How real is that possibility?
Well, as I monitor the Murray situation, sort of through the Combine, the read I got on that is, look, they're not going to set the market for DeMarco Murray. They've made that clear, and we're far enough along now with free agency 2 weeks away that they're not going to bid against themselves. DeMarco Murray is one of these players who's going to have to go out there and find out what his market is. March the 12th, is he a $6 million guy? Is he an $8 million guy? Is he a $7 million guy? And how many teams are really bidding against each other for him? And then Jerry will have the opportunity to, if he wants to trump all that, he can. And I think that's how this decision gets made. What is his price point? What is the market truly bearing? And then is he willing to say, you know what, we got the best out of him. He'd been hurt before. We maximized him for this last year. But there is potentially Adrian Peterson out there. And there are a couple of running backs who maybe get drafted in the first round. And we do have the best offensive line in the league in our determination. So we can fill that role.
The Des Bryant story is fluid, and now the rumored tape that's out there that could be Ray Rice like. Mm-hmm. I said yesterday, we got to be careful. If it's out there, it would have surfaced, I would think. And so it's just going to hang there. Does this have any tie-in with the Cowboys not signing him to a long-term deal? Instead, they would franchise him.
I mean, all I can say is myself and lots of other people have been hearing about this tape. I mean, I first heard about it at probably August or September this year, so before the season. I don't know. People will tell you the Cowboys have seen it, but they don't. I mean, I don't know that they've known, and the Cowboys certainly have not said they've seen it. And they're saying that, hey, we're just doing what we have to do as an organization. Something's holding them back. And I don't know. I don't know if it's a tape. I don't know if it's just general concerns. But if Jerry wanted to set a market for a player who is the type of player that you set the market for, he just goes and does it, right? I mean.
But, Jason, if there is a tape and it can be incriminating, it doesn't matter. Why would you even franchise him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to walk from him, I wouldn't think, entirely. And if you let him get to the market, maybe someone does something you can't do or you're not willing to do, so you protect the asset in that regard. I don't know. I mean, how long ago was it? I mean, we start getting really down the rabbit hole now. Is it something he would, if you find out about it later, could he have to pay back signing bonus that he signed after? I mean, I don't know. But they certainly haven't put anything close to something on the table that would keep him from wanting to look elsewhere. And things got a little dicey there as well during the season. I mean, they sort of have a way there of kind of putting their arm around a player and saying, hey, we got you when you were down and we built you up, and, look at this deal we did with Sean Lee and look what we did with the left tackle, and, those guys kind of did a little bit of hometown thing, so maybe you can too. And that wasn't really the way he wanted to roll. That whole idea of I'm just going to talk to Jerry and a little bit, and maybe outside the auspices of the agent and just in the hallway, that kind of thing, which a lot of players and agents have told me has gone on there in the past in Dallas. That didn't really rub him the right way as well. And there were things leaked this season in the media about him, and he certainly felt that was coming from the Cowboys, and it was being done to drive his market value down. And then there's the issue of the agent. Like he was like Rock Nation and Tom Condon, and then now, CAA is not with Rock Nation anymore. And who how exactly is all that playing out? Who's going to be the actual negotiator, as we move forward? And is that in flux at all? It's definitely a bizarre situation.
Eagles go all in on Mariota?
All in? I could see the Eagles and the Browns, as we get up to, 2-3 days out from the draft, or maybe even sooner, certainly exploring what it would take to move anywhere from 2 to 6-ish to get them. And maybe you can get them a little less than that. But I would think the Jets, and at 2, I think Tennessee is definitely open for business. But that's a kind of high for either of those teams to go. And I think teams maybe call Tennessee's bluff and they look at their roster and say, they got so many holes to fill. Maybe they go somewhere else and play it a little more safe rather than taking a quarterback who might not play for 2 or 3 years. And I do believe they sincerely like what they saw to Mettenberger. So I think the Jets are certainly open for business. I mean, I don't think they want to take a quarterback there. I think they'd love to build up their roster and get value in terms of quantity of picks. And that could be the right spot, the sweet spot for either Cleveland or Philly to make a move. I think they'll explore it. I don't know if they'll pull the trigger.
Before I let you go, a half hour ago we were bringing up our top 5 bands of all time. I know you're a big music guy, like the punk scene. So now top 5, these are the only bands you can listen to the rest of your life.
Man, like So, like, does David Bowie count, or it would have to be just like the stuff he did with the Spiders?
I'll give you. Yeah, I'm not going to put in. You know, I don't. You don't have to have the Spiders from Mars in there. You can go Bowie if you want.
Like the whole career. Yeah, I mean, I mean, David Bowie, Stevie Wonder. Does he count, or it's got to be a band? He counts.
Well, I said have bands, but you know, this is short notice for you. So
yeah, I mean, the Clash are definitely up there. Bad Brains is way up there. Public Enemy would be way up there. Stones would be up there. I don't know how many. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, yeah. Elvis. It's hard for me to leave Elvis Costello off there. I don't know. Iggy Pop. I mean, then the Stooges. I don't know. I should probably just stop now because I'll be up to 25 pretty soon. Cut me off right now, Dan.
Okay, that's it. Hey, Jason, good to visit with you again.
My pleasure, brother. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jason La Canfora, CBS Sports.